Hello, my name is Dorothy Cook, and I'm making this video to thank those that's part of the traumatic brain injury group on Facebook. On January 31st, 2017, I experienced something that was very traumatic to me. I experienced the loss of my child being taken from me by custody being taken from me for very unjust reasons. No reason at all, as a matter of fact, on my behalf for something done wrong. But I couldn't figure out why it was that when she was taken, that was like I didn't know how to go about interceding and fighting on my behalf. And then the judge told me I couldn't talk. The lawyer told me I couldn't talk to a certain time of my daughter's like adjudication. And when I supposed to have been defending myself, I was just standing there because they told me I couldn't. And there had never been something that would be of my natural that I would do if somebody take my child or do something like that. I just stand in the courtroom and not defend myself or whatever. And I mean, some of it was in fear that I wouldn't ever got her back or whatever the case may be. But it was also, I had got to the point that I was asking why certain things, why I couldn't do this and why I couldn't do that. And you know, and all this time I realized that these people was playing me. Because I do have a traumatic brain injury, which I resulted in having brain surgery and the removal of a portion of my brain on the right side when I was a little girl. But my child being taken from me was a new thing. It's something that had never happened to me before. And other things that happened, but I couldn't figure out what in the world was going on with my life and why I just couldn't get it together. With the fact that, you know, they took her and I couldn't get my thought pattern, couldn't get the how to defend myself, how to get, you know, what to do to stand up for myself. And you know, and I was so amazed because I could do it for other people, but I couldn't do it for me. And you know, and I thank God for this group because I realized at one of the things that I was listening, they was like, you know, when you have a new trauma, something that never happened in your life before, that when you do have a traumatic brain injury, that it's different. You know, it's different. You have different things that happen to you and happen through your life in the process that you don't understand, or you have a situation and circumstances that, you know, you just don't comprehend. You just have to find, you know, because it's new. It's not something, you know, it's a different type of trauma than it would be if there was something that had already occurred and then reoccurred again. So, you know, and I thank God for the fact that I did come across the traumatic brain injury support group, because I've learned a lot of different things, even though my brain injury and the surgery, and I still have the soft spot in my head where my skull was not being able to put back completely. You know, so it's a soft spot in my head where it's a portion of my skull that's missing. But even with that, you know, I still... It brought back some information, or gave me some information on the fact about how it is that sometimes, you know what, we can have things taking place and we don't know. And I mean, I did a lot of posting to Facebook and, you know, asking why, and you know, and I had no idea why. And none of the nice little doctors told me or whatever, but you know what, I prayed and I asked God and I asked him to show me and let me know why. Because it wasn't my goal to hate people and all this type of stuff, but I mean, for somebody to take your child for no apparent reason, just out of the whatever of their heart, I mean, but for me not to be able to respond in the way that I know that I should have, the way that I wanted to, but I just couldn't get myself together to do it, and not knowing that it was because I had this traumatic brain injury was, you know, the reason why certain things it was new. It was something that had never happened to me before, and it was a different type of trauma. It was a new trauma, something that happened in my life had never happened before to me in my life. So therefore, it was having an effect upon me. And which, you know, there are those that was partaking in this, that knew I had a traumatic brain injury. They knew what they were doing. And, you know, and it's just amazing to me that, you know what, God is still good, because, you know, I thank God for being God Almighty by himself, because, you know what, they took my child, but they didn't take my God. And, you know what, I thank God to God up above that, you know what, that even though when I couldn't do for myself, God did. when I didn't have couldn't figure out what was going on. I'm asking why this and why this and why that. And, you know, and some people may have thought that I was questioning God and asking him, you know, why this and why this. And you know what, at one point in time I was, because I truly didn't know. I truly did not know what it was. I always had a neurologist or whatever, somebody you could talk to, you know, give you information, but they never told me about the traumatic brain injury. They always treated me for the seizures or the symptoms of what took place for me. But I didn't have the information about the TBI until now. And you know, and I thank God up above for his grace and mercy for it is sufficient, because now I know why I couldn't. And you know why I stood in that courtroom when they told me that I couldn't talk, when I supposed to have been defending myself. My own lawyer turned around and told me that I couldn't defend myself, I could only speak at my daughter's adjudication hearing. And you know what, I could not, for the sake of me, coming to the understanding as to why it is these things were taking place, why it is that I couldn't, you know, get myself together, you know, and be able to present myself in the way that I wanted to, no matter what those people had to say. I didn't care. That was my child. And they used some usage about some having her around some man, putting her in danger of some being sexually abused or physically abused. My child was not sexually abused. I hadn't been with a man but one time in over 20-something years. Had no desire. I'm a minister, a woman of God, love God. Know God is on my side, and I know God is my father. And I had no desire to do none of that nonsense that they were talking about. It ain't had been done. My child had not been abused. She was 14 years old and was a virgin. But you know what, I thank God up above, because you know what, he sit up high and he looked down low. And again, I thank God for this traumatic brain injury group, because you know what, I thank God because y'all gave me insight into things that, you know what, that I had asked God for an answer for. I wanted to know why. And I know for all these years I've learned, I created ways to learn. What they said I couldn't do, God provided provisions and showed me ways to get what needed to be done. But because it was something new, something that had never happened to me before in my life, and the traumatic brain injury, and the fact that I had that part of it is what they fed in. That part of it is what they took advantage of, and that part of it is what I did not know. And even in the courtroom, the attorney for the school, the attorney for the DSS sitting there talking about when they told her that I had the brain injury and brain surgery or whatever. She was like, are y'all sure this is not from the brain injury? And you know, and I'm sitting there trying to figure out what in the world. The brain injury was so long ago, but you know, it still have its lasting effects. And even in that same sense, you know what, they looked at her and told her, you know, that they gave her no response. They looked at her and told her no. But you know what, I thank God above, because they lied. These people did what they did and knew what they was doing. But you know what, that's how the devil works. The devil comes to steal, kill, and destroy. But God comes to give life. And not only that, but that more abundantly. And I thank God. And I ask God to bless each and every member of this group. Each and every member. And not according to what you think you need, but according to what he know you need in full. Because you truly have been a blessing to me. And God bless you all.